Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of the Hero Lair podcast. Once again, we got the full Meathead crew assembled here for this show. Right next to me, we got Big Sean Sims. Hey. We've got author and all-around genetic freak Josh Martyr, and the master of all collectors, Mario. All right, guys. So first up, big week. Finally, after years spent in development hell and rumors and leaked footage and hopes and dreams of millions, the Deadpool is happening. Yep. The official two trailers dropped just the other day, both the Red Band and the PG-13. You can check out our Red Band trailer reaction as well on this channel. We'll link to it in the comments. All my dreams, at least from the 2 minutes 55 seconds of it, it seems to be right on point with what I was hoping for. You guys, thoughts?
Yeah, what we had seen was like, I thought very well captured. The look of the suit, very sleek, true to form, believable, but still has that comic book-esque kind of feel, and captures some of that good Deadpool nature. So far they go.
Yeah, like this. The Burt Reynolds movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys don't know, but I'm the DC fanboy out of the group here, and not too familiar with Deadpool, not very familiar with a lot of the Marvel characters outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But everything I've seen so far, like the comedy, the character, and even the raunchiness, which is my type of humor, totally, I'm head first in this. This looks great.
Big Sean.
Started reading Deadpool comics like last year. Everything else I got from cartoon, like movie cartoons, and really excited. I'm really excited to see how they break the fourth wall, and if it's going to be cheesy or not, or it's going to be too much. I've always had this kind of template of Deadpool, in my imagination, and then plus, there's a really good voice actor in the movie, in like the animated movies, Nolan North, who does the voice of Deadpool, and he's pretty much my template. So it wasn't more like, I know Ryan Reynolds, this is the part he was born to play, but he really had to, shoes to fill.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like, even though it was a more PG version of Deadpool, the
cartoon,
the Nolan North. It's like, but Mark Hamill as Joker.
Oh yeah,
he owns
that.
Absolutely. And then on that same line, it's like even Deadpool himself, regardless of the voice actor, the comic builds such a strong character for Deadpool. So again, Ryan Reynolds has those shoes to fill because North is doing the voice acting. You got to get a certain, but the lead is from the comic.
Yeah,
and it's such a strong, such a very specific lead towards a very
definitive character.
Definitive kind of character.
Yeah. Well, everyone behind the movies, they've been all for that, right? Ryan Reynolds has been all for that. The writer's been all for that. Everyone behind this movie, trying to get this movie made, was all for it. And finally, they got Fox to jump on board and pull it out. What do we think of Colossus? There's a new Colossus for the Fox Marvel world. Of course, Fox has the movie licensing rights to all the X-Men characters, the Fantastic Four. Deadpool's in that realm as well. This is a new Colossus. No more Daniel Cudmore from the Bryan Singer X-Men movies. I thought it looked great. It was very cool. I'm hoping he's Russian. I know that was something Josh had brought up in our trailer reaction video. He's a hell of a lot bigger, definitely, and it's a full CGI character. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think he looked much more like a believable Colossus. You know what I mean? He was the word Colossus speaks for itself. That's what he's supposed to look like. He's supposed to be large, just as the word Hulk speaks for itself. I'm just hoping that again, here's the comic. The comic is talking about templates. The comic book is the best template. Exactly. If it works well on a level for the reader, and people are interested in it, it's going to be a good movie. Just recreate it. Yeah. So it seems that,
and that's what we're getting from the suit and everything else. What do you guys think? Big Sean? What do you think of the suit in live action?
You know what? It's great because I find that Fox usually kind of tweaks things, and like even like the Amazing Spider-Man, and sometimes it just does it.
X3,
and all the X-Men, the earlier X-Men movies, it's like sometimes just put it out there the way it's supposed to be put out. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for like Generation X. Remember that?
No.
You guys, like, oh my god! Oh, like, unbelievable.
Look that up, kids.
Tonight, Fox presents a world premiere motion picture from the creators of the hit comic book series The X-Men comes Generation X. They've got the power. They've got the technology. They're the new generation of superheroes. And they're coming to save the world. You can't win. I need some help out here, come on! Get ready for Generation X on the Fox Tuesday night movie.
Wow, we're in episode 1, and I think we just pulled out like a veteran pull. we may never have a better pull.
Yeah, I was thinking it was in grade 8 for that.
Yeah, that was good. Well played.
But we'll do a throwback. We'll do a throwback episode.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll watch that.
This is again not knowing the character, but like it's not spandex.
Yeah.
It's not anything like it looks like a functional suit. It looks like looking at it here, you know, it's like it almost like tactical, or even like motorcycle. A little bit of that with the class. So it definitely looks like it would function for what you're looking for. Yeah. Not that it needs protection, knowing the character, but it definitely looks the part and doesn't look cheese.
Yeah,
Deadpool.
I watched an interview from Rob Liefeld from recent Comic-Con, and he couldn't stop singing the praises of the suit.
It's a practical suit because I mean he has a healing factor. He doesn't need a lot of armor.
Yeah.
Everything, all his protection is usually around his joints.
Yeah.
It's like it's perfect, right? This is Deadpool. That's how it's supposed to be.
And he's a trained, like, you know, as per the comics, and
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully they explain it in the film as well. I mean, Katana is trained in ninjutsu and assassination, so he wants to be mobile. He wants to be, you know what I mean. He doesn't want to be encumbered by excessive armament.
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah, it definitely fits the ninja motif. You know, it's it's tactical, like you said too. So it's kind of a cross between a ninja and like an ETF or a SWAT team, whatever you want to.
Yeah, and just, you know, again, it is live action. It's Ryan Reynolds in the suit. They're making a big deal about that when he's acting. He's not pulling a who was it? There was some actor that I think Tobey Maguire had a hard time wearing the Spider-Man suit. I may be making that up. Yeah. All right, guys, moving on. Lots of Spider-Man news over the last couple weeks. First off, so what you guys are looking at here? This originally broke, and forgive me, and I can't remember which outlet originally broke this, but this broke as so-called concept art for Spider-Man's cameo in Captain America: Civil War, which they're filming right now, right? So now, you know, a little bit of a backtracking. Sony has done a deal. Sony has the movie licensing rights for Spider-Man and all the Spider-Man characters. Dropped the ball pretty large, I think we'd all agree, with the most...
Rhino.
Yeah. Yes. Or the lack thereof, right?
I'm going to kill you, Spider-Man. Oh, that hurt my feelings.
Oh, yeah. Sloppy. Anyways,
so for first iteration of kind of the co-opted Marvel Studios and Sony Studios Spider-Man, he's going to be existing in the MCU. So it means meet up with the Avengers, everything else. So this originally leaked as concept art for his so-called concept art. Turns out it's just really old fan art from maybe like a year or two ago that someone did, just kind of fan art. So this isn't actual concept art, but the reason it's kind of worthwhile talking about is that this look kind of, all intents and purposes, it fits at least the character description and at least the state of what we're going to find Spider-Man in Civil War, right? So according to Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios, Spider-Man is already Spider-Man. He's swinging around New York in the same world as the Avengers. Maybe he's been Spider-Man for maybe a few months. Yeah. Right? So we're not going to necessarily have to work through another origin story. Yeah. He's Spider-Man, he's swinging around, and that he might have some kind of homemade suit. Something like this would be cool. I'd be down for that. You know, especially this is a Peter Parker in high school. He hasn't met Tony Stark. Again, we don't know how he's going to meet up with him in Civil War. But something like this would be cool. What do you guys think?
It's very reminiscent of like the first Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire. Like, remember when the wrestling outfit he had?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
With Buzzsaw. The human Buzzsaw's ready. Big time. So like all the events. After 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. All he needs is red Chuck Taylors, and it would be that suit. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I get. That's the first thing I see out of it. Mind you, is a high school student going to be able to sew? Is he going to be able to make anything that's like as you know, conceptual as the Spider-Man outfit is? No. So is it believable? Absolutely. I think it would be a very different take. It's not. It doesn't scream Spider-Man's been around though for a while. You know what I mean? How you said, like, the whole concept.
Well, maybe only a few months. They're saying it's just a few months.
Well, yeah, a few months maybe then. Yeah, that's for sure then. Because like this is something that's concept. You know, like the knee pads, the elbow pads. Like it almost seems like a skateboard outfit.
Okay, hipster
skateboard outfit.
With this concept,
little dapper.
With this concept, I'm getting a bunch of different things, right? So first off, with this hoodie, I'm getting the Scarlet Spider with the marker and the what I mean, and then I'm getting with the goggles the Superior Spider-Man when Dr. Octavius takes over as Spider-Man. And then on top of that, with the knee pads and then the feet, it's like kind of Ninja Turtles. So it's like
Muay Thai.
The Valley Tudo.
Yeah, the Valley Tudo anklets.
And then you know what? If you were a kid and you were Spider-Man and you're Peter Parker and you're taking in all these things, you're watching all these things, you're a nerd.
Yeah.
You would throw all these things together, and it's like you would watch TMNT and you would put that together. And so I can see that working.
I get it. I mean, when I look at this, I see someone who's just put the costume together. I don't think it doesn't matter how long, really, if you want to look at it from a lens of realism within the framework of the fiction.
Yep.
Peter Parker, is never like the kind of costume that we're going to expect.
Yes.
The level of costuming, like the detail on it, it's never going to be believable that he put it together and sewed it. Or had animated.
Which would be.
Right, so I think that
the McFarlane-esque.
Right, but even if you look at the past, all of the Spider-Man movies just before this, it can't be less than that. It can't be a lesser work of art.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more. So it won't be believable. But at the same time, does the viewing audience want to see this as Spider-Man? And eventually that would change. Mm-hmm. Perhaps something to be put into play where he does meet up with, let's say, Stark or whoever it is, that he gets the costuming. Yeah.
Which would make sense.
So this would be the equivalent to Mark 1.
Yeah.
The big bug.
You know what I mean? Because you're not going to really want to, as an audience, you're going to be like, okay, we get it, it's precursor Spider-Man, but I don't know if, especially a lot of the kids, are going to necessarily want to see that.
Depends on screen time.
It depends on how many skateboarders. If they're skateboarders, that's wicked. Dude,
I just think screen time matters at that point in time. Where it's like, if this is like the first view of it, and then right away he meets Tony and gets into a more traditional Spider-Man outfit. Yes, I completely buy it.
But we don't spend too much time.
Yeah, not too much time on something
in this zone. Yeah,
I agree.
This is it. I enjoyed Daredevil, but at the end, when I was getting into it, it's like, okay, when's the costume gonna come? I can't wait to see. And when it finally came, it's like, whoa! So I don't mind if they take their time with it. I just when he finally puts it on, and you're in the theater and that clap, and you know what I mean. That's what I want to see. So I get it.
Gotcha. Well, that kind of moves on to now we're talking about his involvement in the film. So the new Spider-Man actor Tom Holland, his cameo has wrapped for Captain America: Civil War.
Yeah.
So he's done shooting, whatever it's going to be. You just mentioned a little bit of kind of what you're hoping to see with Spider-Man's role in Civil War. Me, I don't really know how much I want to see, because I want to see Tony Stark and Steve Rogers kind of beat the shit out of each other. I'm interested to see how it differs from the graphic novel. I want to see who's on either side. I don't really know how much I want kind of Spider-Man in there. Because originally they were pitting Black Panther to kind of play that Spider-Man role. Because in the comic, Captain America and Iron Man are kind of fighting over Spider-Man. Come to my side, come to my side. And then at the end,
that crazy suit. And,
spoilers for the Civil War graphic novel. Spider-Man, reveals his identity, right? But he was already an adult, right? So, does that mean that Black Panther's role gets kind of pushed over?
So that's the thing. Like, if we're doing Civil War, then this Spider-Man should be an established entity.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be what we just saw. You know what I mean?
Well, unless they do where they make it where it's like he's part of the Underground Avengers, because Steve Rogers, Captain America, he developed the Underground Avengers, and there's a lot of B-list superheroes, right? So if he puts Spider-Man in there, and it's like the B-list team, and he's coming, exactly,
like room for growth.
Yeah,
that's what you're
exactly,
saying.
and it's like he's pretty much being tossed in the pit.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because some of it just might feel really rushed, because you got to get a lot of stuff in this one Civil War movie, right? They've already kind of the rift between ideology between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers has already been played.
It's introduced.
They sprinkled it really well in the first Avengers.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron, they physically were fighting for a little bit there, so that's already kind of there.
Yeah.
It's just you just hope that it doesn't rush to it. Okay, rush to get Spider-Man in there. Rush to get him in that suit. Everyone wants to see him in the suit.
Yeah,
that's why I think that at the point in time that he's introduced, it should be like Spider-Man is a very well established character even in this new Marvel franchise, and that he's already in his suit, and it's not like if he were to be in there, it would be a milder.
I agree with you in the world of Civil War. Now, the problem with that, though, is that they want to kind of stick with him in that high school aspect.
Yeah.
Stick with him in, like, I think they were talking about the John Hughes like, version of Spider-Man, where you're having this, like everybody has that. Like, when you're in high school, everything's big deal. Like, your prom is a big deal. Your girlfriend's a big deal. The football game's a big deal. Like, every little thing, well, what seems trivial to us is a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
And Hughes is perfect at making that grandioseness of.
How do you make a movie about that where
after doing
when
that,
you're hanging with the Avengers and everything else?
So now it's like it really is that kind of. Now, how do they do it? It's like, but you're right. Now it all seems too rushed if you do that, especially if you're using the same character.
Yeah. Like, it would have to be the film where they establish Spider-Man, but then coming to the Civil War, he's got to be. It doesn't matter if he's in high school or not.
Yeah.
They got to make him look like, even if he's a rookie vet, slightly veteran.
Yeah.
In his role as Spider-Man, and his understanding of who he is. But still, like, a bit like playful and naive. Yeah.
Sorry, I think the key for Civil War is setting up the persona of Spider-Man, right? Because if he does get like a solo movie or whatnot, it's Peter Parker dealing with his persona of Spider-Man, dealing with his social life, and that's the truest form of Spider-Man, because you relate to him. Because it's like you're relating to him, because it's like, I have this, I have these responsibilities with my family, I have football, but I still have to develop this kind of relationship and girl.
And this is your your extracurricular activities being a superhero.
Yeah, so right there, if he's in the Civil War and he's Spider-Man, it's like, whoa, okay, I did this great thing. Nobody freaking knows, right? So
I can't take credit for it.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
And that plays a lot. Like, as a teenager, like you're striving for affection. You're striving for differentiation, your place. So like that could be a very interesting character study. Depends on where they take it, right? And the whole thing is, now you've got these two. The problem is you've got this push and pull between let's get Civil War out there, and Civil War is ahead on the schedule, is it not? Than the solo Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So now
solo Spider-Man's 2017.
So we got that 2017. So the schedule's working against what we're talking about, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's working against, I think, proper establishment of the Spider-Man character.
Yeah, to include him in Civil War, because you don't want that novice who doesn't even have the costume yet.
Exactly.
They're two things that they're oil and water at that point.
Well, from the same aspect of, like, again, I haven't read the comics, but from what I understand of it, you've got the two opposing powers trying to fight over this guy. So it's like why would you fight over somebody who's like a rookie or not even established?
Exactly.
You're not going to fight over them.
That's a good
like,
point, yeah.
It's kind of
whereas in the comic, he's already...
He's a legend.
He's a legend.
He's a legend. Like, you're trying to fight for...
And no one knows who he is.
Yeah, right now, so now, how can two people fight over him?
Well, maybe it's almost like a Rocky Four. It's like who's gonna train Tommy Gunn?
Yeah, but Tommy Gunn's already...
Even Tommy Gunn, even though he's young, at least he has a name, even though
he's got already a name, but we're talking about somebody who doesn't have a name yet.
That's true.
And he'll legitimately be a 14-year-old kid.
That's true. And it's like you see all this potential in somebody, and it's like you don't want him to be corrupted by this side.
But it's how do you introduce that potential?
And maybe that Peter Parker, that Spider-Man role is supposed to be the audience, and we're looking through Peter Parker's eyes.
I see your point, but it's just very tough. Like, especially if it's going to be a freshman in high school. So you got a freshman in high school, and it's like, you know, like you could have like the best football prospect in as a freshman, but you're not going to give him a scholarship till his last year. Till his senior year. So Spider-Man, if he's running around in his year one or his first year, or just he hasn't established himself as a hero, they're not going to be fighting over him. I don't see Captain America and Iron Man fighting over somebody who's not proven themselves.
Yeah.
That's the main...
He doesn't have the validity, right?
Because unless they're eager to kind of take someone in and under their wing, right? Because they're both going to be eager for that, right? I mean,
yeah.
But in this time, it's not a time of hospice. It's a time of... It's a clutch period, right? They need all the soldiers they can to win... so their faction can win.
All the more reason to bring him on.
Right, but they don't know. But bring who on? He's not.
They know, but I think they know he has so much potential.
Maybe.
So it's like,
but like if he's such a novice that all he's got is his knee pads on and he's in bare feet running around in his mutandis.
I think Steve Rogers sees him as sees Peter Parker as him when he was younger and he was weaker, and he has the potential to be a great leader.
Spider-Man is of such interest in Civil War, right? Because of his legend status, his notoriety, right? And it's because of that it makes it even an interesting bargaining tool.
He's a real important piece.
Exactly, but like without his established lore and legend behind him, you could try to do the same thing, but it would be, I think, a little lackluster. It would be and logical.
I basically see you've got Captain America on one side, you've got Tony Stark on the other side, and they're icons, and they're picking their teams. Pick you, I pick you. I'm not gonna fight over Spider-Man when there's Thor and everybody else there.
In their eyes, he's the kid with the glasses, and the suspenders. That's like, can I play hockey too?
Yeah, and I think that's why. I think that's why. Captain America is going to pick him because nobody sees him and he sees the diamond in the rough.
Maybe. Yeah, I can see if it's something like that. I can see him kind of just falling into somebody's lap. I just don't see them fighting over him.
Yeah,
that's what I don't see.
And it'll be interesting how they play it out. There's so many characters in this movie, man.
Right.
From General Ross coming back to the Winter Soldiers. The Winter Soldiers in it.
Yeah. So all the more reason that if there's a greater host of these iconic name characters, that Spider-Man will have to be more established to be believably squabbled over.
Yeah. Well, his cameo's shot. So for the first.
Let's see how they do it. Yeah.
So moving on to more of the Spider-Man standalone film, which is going to be announced in 2017. The third Spider-Man we've had in 10 plus years.
Yeah.
So, third time's the charm.
Let's hope.
Let's get.
I want
3.
That was like emo musical.
Emo musical. Hey, it's not Spider-Man without a dance number.
So the rumored villain for the new Spider-Man standalone film is Kraven the Hunter.
No.
So what do we feel about this? Who wants to go first? No one's excited.
I think Kraven's not a good look for a first Spider-Man movie. I think you really need to use Kraven later on down the series, because I feel that Kraven is kind of like a real test for Spider-Man. If you look at all the comic books or animated series, usually Kraven is a multi-tiered episodes, and it's like like, you know, an hour and a half long specials and whatnot, you know, tie-ins to be continued, because he's so smart, and he's so, like, he's gonna, like Josh said, you know, he's gonna make these like intricate traps, and he's gonna find out who you care about. He's gonna put Black Cat in this corner, he's gonna put Mary Jane in the other, and it's like, who are you gonna pick? You know what I mean? And he's not gonna stop hunting, right? So I would use, like, right now, if we're starting a new Spider-Man series, I'd start really slow, because now that the Marvel Cinematic Universe actually has, like, the rights to do this and do it properly, because you know they're going to try and do it properly and give it the time it needs, I would start slow, get a bully character, like a Rhino, like a Scorpion, like a Shocker, mercenaries, you know what I mean? And especially the Scorpion storyline, they could just use... That's a great time for J. Jonah Jameson, why he hates Spider-Man so much, because originally Scorpion is hired by J. Jonah Jameson.
Matt Gargan is hired by
so,
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like, I think they should do it like that. But just him right off the bat, no. Yeah. I know people, there's going to be grunts and groans and blah, blah, blah. But do a Goblin.
I knew you were going to say,
you know what
again?
I mean? Yeah. No, but do Hobgoblin.
Part of the story.
Yeah. Do Hobgoblin. He's a thief. He has a map. You know what I mean?
That actually brings up a real good point. It's like, when do we actually get Norman Osborn into this new universe? Because Norman Osborn has always been kind of overlooked. Like the true Norman Osborn that, you know, isn't just the one that, you know, goes crazy and then starts throwing pumpkin bombs, right? You know, Norman Osborn, he's involved almost like Stark as such an integral part of the Marvel universe. He's got his hand
developed
in everything, right?
Well,
we have that opportunity now to introduce Norman Osborn somehow, and this is, I think this is a few months back. McConaughey was rumored to at least be kind of on the list somewhere, right? But you can almost establish Norman Osborn for a few movies, and he can show up even in just the other Marvel movies, because he's just there. You can see like the Tower and you could have Oscorp in any of these kind of movies. Have him in there, and later on pay it off with him.
Sure, and that establishes the lore really well. I just think with the Kraven thing, not exactly. I remember actually reading when I was a kid, one of the most, I don't know, moving Spider-Man comics I had was basically like the death of Superman. They did kind of like a death of Spider-Man thing, and that was a whole storyline revolving around Kraven, and Kraven taking like being obsessed with Spider-Man and wearing the black Spider-Man outfit and all this stuff. So, like, yeah, you want all this stuff is great to establish the lore of Spider-Man and then move to that Kraven.
Yeah, again, and as a much more of a casual fan who's not into the comics or the Marvel comic universe as much, the other characters are so well established in the cartoons, in just pop culture.
They're fun.
Yeah, they're fun, pop culture. It would be a very easy way for them to bring the character in, introduce the character, and have him just be Spider-Man. Because those are characters that are quintessential. Like Spider-Man, you know, for the Marvel universe is the one character that has like the rogue gallery. You know what I mean? He has all the villains. He has a very deep, well-known villain base. So now you're starting him again. You're rebooting him, and you're going with, to the general population, one of the lesser known. Like he might be great, and from everything you guys are saying, he sounds like somebody who I definitely would like to learn more about. But as an introduction, it just seems a little too far-fetched, or a little kind of lesser known.
And I just, you know what, the problem I have too is like Kraven goes after big game, and I don't think Spider-Man, if we're starting this all over again, he's had enough clout and enough adventures and stuff to be like, you know what, I'm gonna hunt this guy.
Alright, so staying with Marvel, but moving on to the Fox Cinematic Universe. There was a lot of rumors last week that the deal between Fox and Channing Tatum was going to go belly up, that there were some issues over the contract. That's all been squashed. He's signed on. It's official. We have Channing Tatum signed on to play Gambit for, we're not sure how long it is, but it'll be a multi-movie kind of contract. How do we feel about a Gambit standalone movie?
Gambit is your side character, but he is a very well-known side character and accompaniment to the X-Men.
Yeah.
That said, a solo movie of Gambit, he has a very rich history. If you read into the comics, you find that he has a very dark past, a very lengthy dark past, and if they choose to replicate this and resurrect that darker history, it wouldn't be that necessarily all that comical. It would be funny to be, because he's just, that's the kind of character that he is. But he has that real dark past. You'd expect in this movie for like at least a good 70% of it, 60% of it, he's going to be edgy, duplicitous. He will kill, he will murder, he will steal, and
he's out for himself.
He's out for himself, but he's also part of a league of thieves and murderers. He is in league with the kind of dregs of society, and that brings in New Orleans, and that brings this whole seedy past. If you can bring that to life with some of the mutants that he ran with at that time, even though there were very few of them, that would be a very interesting story. Now, does everyone watch it? Maybe, just because the name Gambit has a little bit of clout, and just enough. Now, here we're using Channing Tatum. Okay, maybe the name causes the draw. Personally, I don't have anything against Channing Tatum. I just think he has a very all-American look that you don't want for the character of Gambit. He's just not the right look for it. Acting talent, perhaps, but I just don't like the look of necessarily Channing Tatum for a Gambit. Can a story exist on its own? I think it could passively.
If you were a kid, okay,
Yeah.
and you're watching Fox Kids or whatever, and they said, okay, we have a Gambit cartoon, would you watch it? Would you?
If I was
give it a chance.
But if you're asking me, I would say yes, because I like Gambit. I think he's a cool character.
But it would be like you know, there's a Wildcats cartoon, and then there's a Drifter series. Would you watch a Drifter series? Like, would that be even interesting? Like, because he's more of a sport character. Drifter's cool because he's with the Wildcats and whatnot. And,
Yeah.
And he's cool because he's with X-Men and he has like this seedy kind of undertone.
Yeah.
But it's like,
yeah, but I mean, by the same token, Wolverine is part of the X-Men. He's a much more principal figure, but he has a spin-off of side comics that became successful because of interest, because his character is interesting. Now, does he have the same following, the same pull? No, obviously not.
Yeah.
But Gambit, because of his nature, because of the nature of his abilities, it's very engaging, very interesting. And when you actually read his past, if you were to see a trailer, I guarantee you, if you were to see a trailer and it was accurately done on his past, you'd be like, oh,
it's like from what you're saying, it definitely sounds interesting.
There's a cult aspect to it, right? So it's like very dark. It's very.
But again, from more of the casual fan's perspective, and that's who I'm kind of representing here on this, it's like the only introduction I've had with him is through the X-Men universe.
Yeah,
and that's the only. But it really is though. But like I'm speaking as more of the majority than the minority.
That's such an atrocity that.
yeah.
And because of that though, it's like, does he have the clout? Not just from that alone. Not really. Not at this point in time. And then you've got. And with Channing Tatum, like again, like I haven't seen Foxcatcher, so like that was supposed to be his breakout like acting role. So I still have a very kind of like the view I have of him is from his like lesser movies where he's kind of a supporting actor, or he has a sidekick with him. That all being said, like, is this a movie that I'm excited about? Not really, not right now. And like, the more I hear about, like you speak passionately of it, and that does, it piques my interest. But at this point, it's
I'm good with Channing Tatum. I mean, he's shown that he can do action. He's great in the action comedy, especially the 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
And like you said, Foxcatcher, you can see him playing a dark side kind of thing. Right? Where I struggle is, when I think back to Gambit, the really only influence I have is from the 90s X-Men cartoon, always kind of flirting with Rogue, helping her out, and then the cartoons version of Days of Future Past, where Bishop goes back in time to stop an assassination, and it's Gambit who's framed to be the assassin.
Yeah.
Other than that, I just don't know deep it's going. But from your saying, it sounds interesting. But is it? Rumor has it that Fox has budgeted this, and again, this is all just rumors. $150 million budget.
I don't know why the hell.
Yeah.
It's $150 million because a Gambit movie doesn't need.
Again, it's rumored, but
even
everything you're telling me sounds more like an Ocean's 11 or like a dark Ocean's 11.
No, he used to live in abject poverty in his youth. They lived in the woods like outlaws, like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
They were in
That's what I got. I got more of a Robin Hood feel
extreme
when you're
depth
about
of
it.
poverty, and there they learned to be street tough, to be gritty, merciless, uncaring, removed, running around in the night, and you know what I mean.
Like the city of God. almost.
Now picture like the mutant city of Genosha with all kinds of with the atrocities of Genosha, like kind of like that, but just it's that kind of destroyed.
It's like
Lord of the Flies kind of society, right? That's where he was coming from.
So if it came out that this was going to be like a $30 to $50 million kind of movie, then I would be kind of into it, because now they'd be going more like City of God, like what you're saying. But as soon as you throw on $150 million onto a budget, now I'm just imagining CGI crapfest. Just the most ridiculous scenes of fucking cards
Right. And
going everywhere.
And the thing is, you probably wouldn't even need that, because if you really wanted to do the best rendition of the background of this character, it's gonna be like a Tim Burton kind of feel, like dark. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's gonna be
Pan's
dark.
Labyrinth kind of dark.
Visual.
It's like almost like you're seeing another world. Like you're going in the underground and you're seeing things. Like I remember, like the Assassins and Thieves Guilds. There was this one episode of X-Men where it's like they had to pay tribute to like this goddess, and if they don't pay their tithe, like somebody would die. Or
it was very dark.
It was very.
He comes from a very messed up past, and if they were to bring that to light, it would be an interesting film. It's just that the average person, or if it's, and he's not even the average person. He knows a lot about everything. It's just that he doesn't follow Marvel comics as closely, and for him, even Gambit is not.
It's almost. Oh, sorry.
And what you're saying though, like I said, it sounds very interesting, but it sounds like it would have to be done almost like a cult movie, like you were saying, a smaller budget, keep it really gritty.
Yep.
Grit is what I'm seeing when you're as I'm envisioning grit when you guys are talking about the character. I'm envisioning him very like that kind of Louisiana's it's got such a character.
Yeah.
It's steeped in voodoo. And
that's it. That's the stuff. That's what I'm talking about.
So now you've got voodoo, but also like that voodoo versus Christianity. Like it's got that both are so entwined in that swamp. So that you could make a really good film based on that, and it's like even how like they've done it in a much lighter aspect with True Blood, but that's the kind of thing that I'm kind of envisioning.
You know what? Even like a Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
You know how it's like you think it's going one direction, and it's like holy crap, what the hell is going on?
There's something here.
You guys saying this reminds me of something. Remember when the Wolverine was in development? I think Darren Aronofsky was attached to it at the beginning to do.
I thought it was Batman for Aronofsky.
Well, he's jumped on things and then takes his ball and goes home. So many damn things, right?
Sorry, Dan.
So the story of the Wolverine. I mean, we were all ready for he's going to be in Japan, studying as more of a samurai kind of story, and that's what we got for 3/4 of the movie, and in the end,
it just
giant robot.
Yeah. It's just
the last thing I want to see is a nice, good, gritty thriller with some voodoo aspects.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the movie, he fights throwing cards at a giant robot.
Yeah.
So staying with Fox and Marvel, X-Men Apocalypse director Bryan Singer Instagrammed out this pic from the set, Storm overlooking Cairo. He's showing off some of the real-time CGI technology that he's using for it. The photos of the new cast have come out. They've been out for a while, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it at all. What do we think? I mean, I'll go first. I like 99% of the costumes for this movie. I'm down with. The only one I got issue with is the title villain, Apocalypse. Now, okay, like I'm not one of these guys that like has to see, it's on the page. Make him look like that.
Right? Like as in the end, Wolverine with blue briefs.
Yes. Why isn't
yellow
he in
suit,
yellow
not-
spandex?
Yeah.
You son of a bitch.
At
Right?
5'6".
Yeah, like I'm okay, right? I accept the interpretation. I like new interpretations, right? Like all the DC stuff that Nolan did.
Yeah.
Like I'm down for that. Show me something good. I don't like the Oscar Isaac Apocalypse look, and it's not because it's different from the comic book. I was just hoping for a more wow factor, and everyone's been bringing up that he looks like Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie, right?
Take us go!
You say what you will about that. I don't like it because I'm just not impressed with the look. Now, what I'm hoping is, Apocalypse's character is, one that, kind of gains, he gets new technology, like interacts with aliens, he builds himself up. I'm hoping that's just like one iteration that they're sharing, and that at some point in the movie he will be giant and have a different look. But, the initial images kind of released, I'm not so hot in. Everyone else, Storm, I fucking love.
Yeah.
With the mohawk, looks great. Jubilee finally belongs because it's the 80s.
Yeah.
So her outfit looks great. All the young cast, Nightcrawler, I think he's real cool looking.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Well, and especially with Aurora Monroe, Storm. That for you guys who are really young and didn't read the X-Men comics from the 80s. That's what her hairstyle was. That punk mohawk and
looks great.
White. That was her original hair.
Yeah, the looks are great.
So I think that's great. I'm going to concur with you on the fact that not only is it not the greatest, it is absolutely atrocious. Apocalypse's look. I don't understand why they went that direction. He just looks like an old man with purple paint on it. Like the iconic Apocalypse, you don't have to follow it to the letter. Renditions are going to be great. Yeah, okay, so fine. You don't make him 8 feet tall or whatever. I understand. That's fine. We're dealing with human beings that have to act here. You don't want like full CGI like that all the time anyway. But his face, it has a menace to it.
Yeah.
It has this. There's
in the comics and
in the comics, there's
yeah.
this menace to it. It's like one of the big things they said about the Aliens movies.
Yeah.
About what made the aliens so frightening. Mm-hmm. They didn't have eyes. That's the one thing they said. We wanted them to be expressionless. Yeah. And you notice in those movies, they don't have eyes. Yeah. If you were to keep everything the same and simply add eyes, it would destroy the entire effect of the alien.
Yeah. Well, they did that. The fourth alien.
Oh. Yeah, exactly.
That Ripley alien eyebrow.
Oh, Jesus. But Apocalypse, in a similar fashion, his distinctive jawlines, and it's not like they're unclear with how to subscribe to what's in the comic. Look at Thanos.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, subtle changes here and there. Costume, of course. But the creases, the structure, the power in the face, in the voice, beautiful. We just looked at Storm, done the way she was supposed to be done. Jubilee, the way done the way she's supposed to be done.
Olivia Munn's Psylocke.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes.
Right.
And so Apocalypse then is an anomaly in that they've done such a good job with everybody else. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, we've done everything perfectly. So instead of doing it all good, let's just, I don't know. Let's just get some old guy from Temple, and then you know what I mean. We'll just put some stuff on him. He'll look like a cheesy, Flash Gordon character or something like that. But that's fine. And he'll be Apocalypse. Apocalypse is supposed to have that deep voice. Even in the comics, his voice is often done with black box and red lettering. Yeah. You know that voice is going to be powerful, rock upon the eternal shore. Not like I am like Apocalypse. You know what I mean? Like whatever.
Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us have heard his voice.
No, I know. I'm just.
I think.
But by that look, the voice.
When
I look at that guy, when I look at Apocalypse, I think. You know what I mean?
I was expecting.
He's almost meek like Loki.
Yes. Yeah. Old, frail, and like conniving.
Yes.
Yeah, like a conniving con artist.
I was
a miser of sorts.
I was definitely hoping for a
Apocalypse.
Yeah, like a big stature. He didn't have to be like 20 feet tall, but at least
he had to have the big mouth, the big jaw, and the lips, and the heavy. That was what he was as a creature.
Yeah,
That's what he was as his mutation made him look like that. You have now taken that and just called it something else.
Yeah, the one thing I will give them though is that I think they are kind of looking. He does kind of look like an alien Egyptian, right? So they do have that going for them. And again, I'm just resting on the laurels of. I'm hoping that there's going to be different iterations of Apocalypse.
I think you know in your heart. You know in your
heart.
Yeah, you know in your heart that we're stuck with the old like
Miser.
We're stuck with Purple King Tut. Is what we're stuck with. That's what we got.
Well, let's
Get you, Rangers!
Sticking with Fox and Marvel movies, Fantastic Four opens in theaters this weekend. I'm excited for this, guys. I know that there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been rumors of a disastrous time on set, of like crazy reshoots. Everything that they've shown me, I've been down with. From hearing from Simon Kinberg and Josh Trank, the director, they're talking about the spin that they were taking of almost like a Cronenberg kind of movie of, you know, almost like that sci-fi horror of your body kind of fighting itself and mutating, and almost like whatever power you have is almost a curse.
A Brundle fly.
Sort of thing, right? Or even like scanners and stuff like that. And that you know, if they're taking that tone, it's like, yeah, I'm down with that. And you look on paper, director Josh Trank did Chronicle. I love Chronicle.
Yeah,
right?
It's great film.
All the all the cast, great. Especially the guy that plays Johnny Storm. He's in the new Creed movie. What's his name? Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, great in Chronicle as well. Miles Teller, really great in Whiplash. Kate Mara, I loved her in House of Cards.
Yeah, she's great. First season.
You know, all the trailers I thought looked really good. They had a good tone. Tony Kebbell, I love Tony Kebbell. He's Doom. I'm down with everything, but something that's kind of a big red flag is that Fox has not let any of the media see this thing pretty much right up until 48 hours before the movie comes out, or 24 hours before the movie comes out. Normally, you know, I think the week ahead of time, media gets invited, either to premieres or sneak previews, stuff like that, so you get kind of the buzz going. There's no buzz because they didn't let anybody see anything until pretty much the 11th hour. Normally, when a studio does that, it means they got a name,
writing on the name,
or they just got a big turd and they don't want word to get out that it's
right. Exactly. So they ride on the name.
That's like telling a girl you have a big dick the whole night, and then when you're gonna go have sex with her, you turn off all the lights. No, don't touch my penis.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's good. I don't have a lot riding on it. It's not like.
That's the whole
you know,
thing.
you know, it's not like I'm one of those guys that are all butthurt that you know Johnny Storm is black. You know, I never really read the comics. I know I saw the show where they actually replaced Johnny Storm with that fucking robot. Because they thought,
Robbie.
Yeah, remember that? Because they thought kids were gonna light themselves on fire, fly around. So I'm good. I just want to see a good.
I can put my arm back on it. You can't.
Oh yeah. I lived for those little commercials when I was a kid.
I am Astar, a robot. I can put my arm back on. You can't. So play safe.
It was like before Sesame Street. You're like, that was dark. I liked it.
It was like great looking special effects.
I know. Why don't we make shows of this? Can I see a show of this guy? I'll watch this guy do all kinds of stuff.
They should play this in between Beast Machines and Rebirth.
This is the thing about Fantastic Four. Like, okay, the first initial Fantastic Four, and I'm not talking about the crappy B movies that never came out and blah blah blah, but the first one when you know, it was like Michael Chiklis and whatever, that worked because it was just starting the whole Marvel universe.
Yeah,
it was
the
like
beginning of that era.
Spider-Man, and then you just saw the second X-Men, and this could work, right? Then I watched the trailer for Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and I'm like, this is amazing. And I was sold, and then I watched it, and I'm like, flip the fucking tape. Fuck it. You know what I mean? I'm done. When I first heard that they're rebooting this series, I'm like, okay, you know.
Let's fix
then I'm
this.
like, okay, Michael B. Jordan, that's great. I'm and it's not because I'm biased or anything. I like Michael B. Jordan.
I'm a fan.
But then I watched the trailer, and then I saw the thing, and he looks like the monster that got his ass whooped by Thor in Dark World. You know, and I'm just like, no. And then I heard his voice.
I was thinking of the never-ending story, The Rock.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Strong.
Yeah. Now it's like, now I'm just, and then I hear his voice, and it's just, he's talking like he's a normal. He's like, yeah, guys, well, I gotta, we gotta do this. And
his larynx
I need a
is
Michael
rock.
Chiklis because you know in the cartoon it was like that. You know, you should sound like that. But like, I'm not too impressed. I'm whatever. We'll watch it.
I think they're trying to appeal to a young audience a bit too much. Mr. Fantastic is supposed to try to hold is a linchpin. He is very big in the Marvel world as a respected and renowned scientist.
Him and Stark and Osborn are always colluding
up
on
there,
something.
right? Exactly. This guy is like 19. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Just
they went young, yeah.
I mean, just the look. I understand that. It's just that like the look is a bit off. When you're talking about Mr. Fantastic, you're talking about stretch. You're talking about white hair on the sides, you know what I mean? You're talking about you're talking about an iconic figure. You changed it a bit too much in terms of the age and the dynamic that's going to be thrown off between, because he was the leader, because he was a bit older and wiser. What you're supposed to have is he's the young gun, she's mildly young. Here you're supposed to have a very rough character already in Ben Grimm, right? And you're supposed to have he naturally is supposed to have a gruff, dark, seedy demeanor and voice before he's even the thing. So imagine with all this stuff on him, he's.
I'll agree with you guys that I like the look of the thing. Because you know I don't need it to be symmetrical. Like there were some people online when this image first came up, like he's not symmetrical. You can't see the stone eyebrows. Okay, fuck off. He's a rock.
I like that. I don't mind
he looks
that.
like a mean rock monster.
He's supposed to be mutated.
Exactly. What did, and you know, people are like, he doesn't have pants. I'm like, okay, you know, I'm good with that, right? As long as he's like, big ass rock monster's fine. What I did get thrown off of is your point with the voice, because I think maybe in the third trailer, we actually finally got to hear the thing Ben Grimm speak, but as the thing, and it threw me off because it almost sounded like a child's voice. And I was expecting that. You know, I mean, your larynx is stone.
Exactly. It's supposed to. Your voice, if anything, if anyone is supposed to have this stereotypically gravelly voice,
should be the guy with
it's going to be the guy who's made of gravel.
It really makes sense.
That one scene threw me off. I'm hoping it's just the scene that they chose. Like it's a
very
somber scene.
hopeful. Very hopeful.
I'm hoping he's going to do it so it's clobber.
You're going to hope in other iterations his lyrics will become more dense and his voice will deepen.
I also hope for a badass silver samurai in that. I'm okay with the age, man. I'm good with it, right? I mean, especially you know, and we, you know, I think this is happening in present era, and you know, the X-Men movie, since you know, down the line, the hope is to kind of merge
everything together.
Fox to merge all their properties together, right? Going young, I'm good with it, right? And you know, the suits are kind of cool. They're you know, you can't do what you did before, and what they did before, they stuck. I think as far as much I know the traditional Fantastic Four, the kind of campiness, the goofiness. They did that. You know, it could have been done better, but you know, it was kind of lame, right? We're in a different. I love hard sci-fi kind of stuff. So pretty sci-fi.
We're a different.
I'm hoping for it. I'm going in with a total open mind, and you know, with no.
I think I'll enjoy it. I just think I would have enjoyed it a bit more had they just tweaked it a little bit here and there to be a bit truer to what it's supposed to be.
You want to see them more mature?
A bit more mature with Mr. Fantastic, just because he's just so iconic. It's like if you were to have Stark and he was running Stark Enterprises at the age of 20. It's like, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? But you know, maybe a bit more mature and wizened on their parts. This is fine, whatever. I mean, the iconic Johnny Storm is the brother and sister duo. That's a great dynamic. Whatever. I mean, in the Ultimate World, especially you're throwing. There was definitely a race inequity, which is what they're doing. So I don't mind this, and I think it's cool that it's not he's the one who's adopted. She is. I think that's great. But that voice that's got to go. A little older, and then we're a bit more business.
interesting to mention. You know, we're getting into rumors and things like that, but it's fun to talk
Yeah,
about, right? We're
course.
superhero fans. We follow all this kind of shit. Is they were Josh Trank, director of Chronicle, director of this. He was lined up to direct one of the Star Wars anthology films, right? And then the Star Wars Celebration came around. He tweeted out that he was sick, he couldn't make it. And then a few weeks later, word came out that he was pretty much taken off the project. So if you enjoy rumors and conjecture, one thing you could say, you could say that maybe someone, you know, word was getting around on Fox that he wasn't doing a good job. Though the folks over at Lucasfilm/Disney are like, yeah, you know, maybe this guy's not our guy for these films. Let's kind of move
Sever
on.
the tie now.
That's right. And then you have that, plus the whole fact of Fox not letting, not releasing the film early for the media to see ahead of time, like, you know, only holding it until about 48 hours ahead of time. I don't know. You could say.
Yeah.
You could say there's something there.
There's definitely they're not going by protocol in any of this, but again, it's just it's conjecture at this point in time. We'll get to it. It's what, like, again, from what I've seen so far, and that's all we can base on this, is it looks interesting. It looks interesting. We know that. Come on, when it comes down to it, like, who are executives to really know when there's a turd out there? Anyways, they release, you know,
all the time.
Yeah, they release them continuously. So, what might be poor in their eyes might do great to the audience.
Yeah,
right?
exactly right.
So it's hard to say.
Well, I'm sure we'll all go check it out as soon as we can. We'll hook back up next week, give you guys the full review, and I'm hoping it's positive, because I would really love to see one of these superhero genres go hard sci-fi and a real cool.
And again, and just for the possibility of down the road intermingling the cinematic universe and the Fox universe,
so much potential
would be amazing. Just because the more we can intertwine these characters, I think the more we can develop characters and really get invested in characters.
Yeah. Especially when you start, you know, we can do Galactus right, especially if you get the X-Men together. Galactus.
Here's a question for you, just a random question. How would you, because you were talking about him being a geisha entity you didn't enjoy, how would you guys do Galactus? If you were to, like, for a movie like this, how would you do Galactus? Do you make him the guy with the giant top hat with the horns and the 3D glasses and the tunic? Like, what would your renditions of Galactus look like?
Interesting. Well, I mean, I'd have to think a little bit longer at that, but we did get a glimpse, because in Guardians of the Galaxy, nowhere is a celestial head.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's kind of where you start. So the idea of these space giants, we're all kind of cool with that.
Yeah.
You have to tone down the headgear for sure, but and again, so far the folks at Fox aren't the best at it. Folks at Marvel are.
Yes.
Of taking what you would think would be a ridiculous fucking outfit and you know comparing, you know, and even just, like, folks at Marvel do really good decisions, right? You know, like the Thor outfit and everything in Asgard looks great.
Yes.
Right. Even Loki's helmet looks great.
Yeah.
And then Thor wore the helmet for a little while, then he doesn't fight with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they nailed Vision out of the park.
Oh, that's great.
Right, because Vision could have gone so bad and so ridiculous, and he looked incredible.
He did.
Right? Fox doesn't have necessarily that good of a run at averaging it, but if you could take, I think if you take the comic book style of it and you just tone it down a little bit.
But like, forget the companies. What would you see? What do you see as
Galactus? A giant space alien with a giant ship.
Yeah.
He's flying around the ship, and most of what you see is the ship, rather than him just being like a Unicron.
And then so he feeds on planets how?
The ship, it would go into compartments and it would build a bigger machine and you'll still have the chair, so it'll like deconstruct. You'll still have the chair and it feeds. So it'll take, you know, like when it was doing in Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, where there was like these kind of tentacles, kind of.
That was terrible.
But not like that. Just
I remember. Yeah.
they're just It'll take natural resources, and it'll just start sucking it up and feeding it, and then combining it.
I'm getting
Unicron
when you say that though.
And then he's not bothered to get up out of the chair until he really has to go and start fighting.
Yeah.
And then he'll come out and fight, and then could look similar to that. It depends on how big you want to go. I mean, if you made him super giant. I mean, I'm thinking, what was that one robot in Thor, the first Thor? What's that thing called?
Robot in Thor.
Oh, the thing that was forged.
Oh,
the weapon. Yeah. No, I know.
So you're not going to go blank like that, but that kind of size. I thought the Sentinels looked really good.
Yeah, the Sentinels were a decent size. I like that as a comparable size. Like they were big enough that they were obviously intimidating, but they weren't so large that you couldn't see somebody with a chance against them. Like all you want is like a 10% chance that you could because
if you make Galactus the same size as that celestial head in Guardians of the Galaxy, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah,
because then he would literally be bigger than the Earth.
You can't overcome that. Yeah, it's just
like you could just fucking thunderclap the Earth and then you're done. So I don't think you got to tone that down a bit. Or hey, a poo cloud. Yeah. Cloud the color of shit. That's good too. Let's do it up again in 3D.
See, I thought like in my mind, my logic says if it were a space being that devours planets, it would have to be not necessarily that, but something not necessarily humanoid. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's this sentient creature that travels through space and then feeds on planets. It might look different. It might look odd. That's what my mind.
That's
what my logic
says. Or
I don't know. Like it could be something as ambiguous as like a nebula. Or
an amoeba,
or like something like an imploded star. You know what I mean? But that's my logic. Because if it's going through space, but what I want actually, the heart would be something like that. Something passively humanoid in form.
Yeah.
Passively, but not skin or anything like that. Just something perhaps passively humanoid, not even necessarily with hands that we would recognize, but. Something like that might be interesting. We'll see. So
he has to have a physical form.
Yeah, it would be good to have some kind of physical form. Even though logically, with all scientific logic, it would probably be something like that.
But or maybe 5'6" and orange. Yeah. So now moving on to our Ant-Man review. We're going to start off with non-spoiler review. We won't give anything away. Then we're going to move on to full spoilers, but we'll warn you ahead of time in case you haven't seen Ant-Man. Alright, so I think all four of us had a chance to see this. I'll go first. I was entertained. I got kind of what I was looking for. The 3D looked great. Decent enough story. It's not a bad movie at all. It's just, it feels like Iron Man light. You know what I mean? To me it was like, kind of real cookie cutter story, at least in terms of what we've seen. If this was 2008, 2009, in like the kind of the Marvel Phase 1, it fits great there. In the post, like after watching Winter Soldier and kind of Age of Ultron, everything else, to get satiated, I kind of need a little bit more.
We've got refined tastes now.
But it's not bad. It's a good movie. You could just kind of like, okay, this is gonna happen. Oh, it's gonna happen. Yeah. This is gonna happen. What do you guys think?
I don't know. Like, I wasn't excited about this right from the beginning. Like when you told me about it, it was like Ant-Man, and like right away, it's. I don't know, like it's an ant. Like it doesn't tickle my fancy. It doesn't do anything to get me, to get me excited right away. And then like I started watching some of the trailers, and you're right, like it just seems so formulaic. You know what I mean? It's like, here's a suit. I come across this suit. I've got somebody, bestowing something down that used to use it before. Almost like, like Mask of Zorro. Here's my mask, and take it and go. You know what I mean?
That mixed with the Rocketeer, and then you
yeah, exactly. And you've got so much of that just it's. I've seen this all before. Nothing surprised me. So you're right. Like if if there's so many movies that are like that. Like if I'm a new fan and I'm coming on and like I'm 12 years old and I haven't seen any other movie, you know, like I lived, you know, like a, I don't know, like a Mormon or something like that.
Deliverance.
Sorry to Mormons.
We just lost all our Mormons.
Fuck these guys. Yeah. But it's like if I was very sheltered to begin with and hadn't seen anything else, yeah, it might have been entertaining. But to me, it was formulaic. Everything was not a surprise. It's not going to resonate. Like I immediately, like I could have immediately forgotten this. Like if it wasn't purposely trying to think that, knowing that we had this review that we were going to talk about, I had to make notes. Had to make notes just to remember certain things about it in order to talk about it.
Yeah,
So, was not excited to see this. I came in with low expectations. This, for me, could have easily been a television show, right? You know, like a Marvel, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of episode even, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I kind of got like they were trying to do like maybe a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, like, oh, this is going to be fun for this movie is basically like, if you have a child, but you're sharing joint custody with your baby moms, and she hates your guts, and she thinks you want to take your kid out to the movie, and you're like, okay, what's a safe movie that I can watch that she's gonna like? And it's like there's no Lego Batman out, or there's no Lego movie. You're gonna see Honey, I mean, you know what I mean? You're gonna see Ant-Man. That's what it is.
For me, it's the same thing. I mean, it visually was interesting, as you said, here and there. But here's the thing: what makes these Marvel movies, these DC movies, these superhero movies so engaging is when we were kids, we looked up to them. They were awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
They were kind of like the demigods that
absolutely.
medieval man would worship, and you find a greater sense of self in them.
They were our Hercules.
When someone shrinks to this big and it's like, that, I don't find that same awe, that same inspiration, and nor will, even as much as it is for kids, they will also not draw as much, because we were kids too. When we were kids, who would you like better, Thor or Ant-Man? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you don't find that same adulation, right? So there's that, and you know, there are points in the movie, even the concept aside, the way they even went about it, which we'll talk about afterwards, which were then again just quite lackluster.
Yeah.
If they, oh sorry, go.
I was just saying, it almost feels like you can almost see Marvel and everybody. Well, this has to happen. This has to happen. This has to happen. Training montage here, and then you just like put it together like a puzzle block.
Yeah, and they're also saying,
by numbers.
But we also need to have Ant-Man in the Avengers later, so we're going to have a movie just like the first Captain America movie was terrible. I didn't think it was good at all. It was quite bad, I found, actually. The first Captain America, right? And so I mean, this is kind of like, you know, so they can say, here's Ant-Man. At the end of the day, though, for me, all they had to do was in the next Avengers movie say, hey, that guy shrinks. Yeah. That's all I need. I don't need much. That's pretty much what I mean. I don't need all of this.
The trailer was enough.
Yeah. You know what I mean? One flashback from Hank Pym and his protege. That's all I need for the Avengers. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's got high points. I mean, there's the Yellow Jacket suit looks incredible.
Yeah.
And we'll get into spoilers, but there's some really cool action moments, some pretty unique stuff that, you know, we haven't seen that was entertaining.
Yeah.
And there's good, you know, Michael Pena's funny in this.
Yeah.
Real funny guy. Paul Rudd has some good funny scenes in it too.
Yeah.
It's just lacking like a weight. Like, you know, a lot of these are supposed to be event films, and this didn't.
Yeah.
Well,
this almost felt like, okay, we'll watch this so that next time we know who he is.
Exactly.
In the next group battle of Civil War or whatever happens, now he has a backstory, an excuse to either shrink or...
Yeah. Right, but it'll never have that way because it's Ant-Man, and the Dave Vance world, that's what it's missing. He's not a hero that you look up to in that capacity. Mm-hmm. That draws your awe and inspires.
Yeah.
And you're just
he almost
intoxicated with their power.
The only thing, and this is complete speculation, of course, but the only thing that I can see is, like, if he he's written in there for a specific purpose. Like there's like it's, the Tesseract's in a lock thing, and they,
so annoying.
you know what I mean, and they have to get into it. Like that's the only way I can see that.
He's gonna be a gimmick.
He is a gimmick.
The only real reason why they would have used Ant-Man, which would be practical, would be Ultron, because he was actually the one who created Ultron. But it's like, pardon?
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
But it's like now it's like, what do you need him for?
Well, when we get into spoilers, someone remember, we'll bring this up because there are theories as to how it kind of connects to a bigger universe.
Right.
On the surface, the whole thing is, look, they're not gonna have Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, and Scarlett Johansson around forever. At some point, the Avengers will be a new group. Introduce him at some point so he can be a part of the Avengers.
But why?
Because the original guys aren't going to stick around for movies.
Okay,
as soon as we get out.
But here's the thing: the original Hank Pym, is like the Batman to the Justice League is like Blue Beetle, right? Like, but who really cares of Blue Beetle, right? So Hank Pym. He's got all this technology. He's a respected scientist, right? That's the only reason he's around.
No, but at the end of the day, he turns into Giant Man. And because he's going to need Giant Man for when Thanos comes and he starts messing up everything.
Which will look awesome.
It's still a gimmick, though.
I know, but see, the thing is, that means I don't even need Ant-Man. I just need to say, he's Ant-Man now, and then in the Avengers story, hey, I discovered this new technology. I'm now cool in Giant Man. Now I'm awe-inspiring.
Okay, great.
I'm
Let's fight.
You could have even done it in like one of those. You know how Disney used to have these like little shorts, like it's 15 minutes before the movie starts. You could have done that. And new Ant-Man, blah blah blah. It's like.
It wasn't something. Well, might as well now get into the spoilers. Let's do the spoilers.
Yeah. Okay. So from here on out, full spoiler discussion. If you haven't seen the movie,
get out.
You ain't gotta go home, but you gotta get the fuck out of here. Exactly. Come back and watch us. It'll be in your history. Come back and watch us, and then we'll full spoilers. So from now on, full spoiler. You've been warned. You've been warned. All right. So the Baskin Robbins shit was funny, right? You know? The guy shows up. Cool treats. Baskin Robbins, man. that one line of.
That's fine because at that point it wasn't even a superhero movie. At that point it was just a generic,
it was a comedy,
like 40-year-old version or something.
It was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids met Bug's Life.
With a little bit of as a Paul Rudd.
Yeah, that's what it was. Like it was not anything else. He started. He numbered the ants, and he tried to name the ants, and all this stuff. It just wasn't.
Yeah, they went into weird. They went into weird detail about that. That all kind of just went.
You know why? Because they wanted you to care about ants.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, it's not. It's an ant. It's not like.
But they had the classifications of it. This does that. That does this. And then that
electric ant. The amount of, do you know the amount of electricity those ants generate is negligible.
Yeah, exactly. Infinitesimal.
Negligible. Yeah. And I understand when you're zoomed in, the ants look fearsome.
Yeah.
But it's really just an ant.
Exactly. And they did that in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It was done before.
It's really just an ant. There's this one, the one scene at the end where the ants are flying Scott up to flying Ant-Man up to the helicopter.
Yeah.
And what? There's no wind resistance to the helicopter for an ant?
Yeah.
Those propeller blades are whirring, and you got a swarm of ants, all of them strong, just I know headwind's fine. Yeah. It's fine. I'm in your slipstream, it's all good. Come on.
Meanwhile, the 3 geese that just went through.
There's all those ants, but this is reality.
Yeah.
Movie done.
Yeah.
Gets away. That's it. That's it.
Foiled again.
I mean, the combat again. They bring it down to that
insect level.
The insect worm's eye insect level view. That's fine. But then
the fight in the briefcase was great. I thought that was pretty.
It was interesting, but then it's we're talking about when you see Thor again or Hulk in combat, you are inspired.
Yeah.
When you see these guys fighting, and all of a sudden it zooms out, and it's a toy train, Tommy the train,
Yeah,
going on the track,
man.
and then and he's like, Yellow Jacket's the guy.
It's
and
funny. It's a laugh.
It's funny. But it's
doesn't
a
have
joke.
enough weight.
That's what I'm saying. The whole thing is a joke.
Yeah.
The whole thing is
It's
a
a
joke.
joke.
It's very.
It's a joke. It's all a joke.
It's very.
I will say. Watch it.
Yes.
Watch it. Good movie. See it.
Fantastic film. It was too juvenile. It was too juvenile for this universe.
It's not even juvenile. It's like less than juvenile. It's
Yeah.
like less elementary school and lower kind of thing, right? Like some of the stuff.
Like
is-
Thomas said, it was almost like Thomas
I mean,
was very well placed because of that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It was kind of sold to us as like a heist movie, and Marvel's been doing a good job of, especially once they got into Phase 2, they were doing such a good job of
genre movies,
right? The 70s political thriller of
Yes.
Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah,
The kind of space opera of Guardians of the Galaxy, right? They were doing a good job. This one, we were selling us a heist,
Yeah.
and
Like heist,
we got heist.
Yeah, exactly. Like heist, I think Ocean's
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like those.
it was just, there was kind of more. I enjoyed more of the scene in Guardians of the Galaxy than planning to get out of the prison.
Yeah.
Than I did any of the planning or heist stuff to go from this, right? And then you just,
Yes.
we'll start from the beginning because it starts off really strong for me anyway. Because I didn't expect them to go
It's not a
back.
superhero movie at that point. It's just 40-Year-Old Virgin or any other.
No, I'm talking pre-credits when it's where they did. What's the main actor's name? Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
You look young, like Wall Street days.
Yeah.
Walks in the early days.
right.
Agent Carter's there.
Yeah.
You got
Creed is
Howard
good.
Stark there.
Yeah.
Right, and then I'm like, oh, this is cool. And he's a badass, and he's already kind of been Ant-Man for a while. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Then once we get into that, we just get into the tropes of find the guy, give him the suit.
Find my successor.
Right, he has a I keep going parallels to the first Iron Man, right? He has the mentor, shows him to straighten out, then obligatory training montage.
Yeah, but that whole plan was just ludicrous. Like he pays his maid to drop it to him, who drops it to him, who plans the heist, who
just to see if he's worthy to break
the ship that Jack built or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that.
It's too much.
It's just go to him and say, I would like to give you the suit.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what it
Well,
does.
it's supposed to be like it's like a test, and it's like follow the leader. You know what I mean?
but
Like,
just too many variables,
And
and the whole thing didn't make sense.
And they didn't really go. I mean, they kind of touched on it, but the whole reason why Hank Pym doesn't don the suit himself is, because it changes you every time you wear it. Like, the Pym particles kind of fuck you up.
Yeah.
But how do the Pym particles fuck him up? Because he's not like inhaling anything, is he? Like,
they didn't describe it exactly, but I mean, I'm assuming it messes with his whole biomolecular organization.
I'm thinking almost like with that aspect. What I got was, remember when we were talking about Cronenberg before, was in like Brundlefly, when he's transported from one to another, even before the fly's introduced and he's just going from one to the other. It's like you're basically decomposing all your molecules, deconstructing your molecules and then reconstructing your molecules. Things how do you know it's going to be reconstructed 100% the exact same way? And that's kind of the same
That's what
thing here.
I think his biomolecular organization
between deconstruction and reconstruction.
Well, what you're saying makes sense, but I remember some point in the movie where Pym was saying, I invented a way to shrink the space between atoms.
Yeah.
So if that's all he's doing, then there's no deconstruction of a molecule at all.
Well, the space between atoms is the charge itself.
Yeah.
Like the valence and strength of the atom depends on which orbit it's in. The space is everything.
Yeah.
So it's the structure of everything.
Exactly, because you're looking at.
So if that space is shrinking, then that counts as a deconstruction.
Right. Because then you're talking about. But either way, it's irrelevant because then Scotty jumps into the quantum realm of subatomic.
Yeah.
And he's fine.
So that's what I wanted to get back to. We'll talk. Did you want to jump in here? On something?
Yeah.
So the quantum realm, which I think is the microverse in the comics, right? So some people are saying that they've seen that there's someone there in the quantum realm with them, that you can see something,
Probably the wife,
Right.
if they're trying to build.
Either the wife, or they were talking about someone from the Doctor Strange comic. So what I'm getting at is, the rumor is that quantum realm will be like the backbone of giving legitimacy to Doctor Strange's powers, rather than just be random mysticism.
Oh, I see.
It'll be like something like that. So that's why that might be a connective.
That would be interesting. And I think they did it for quite a while. They did a very interesting job of taking you to the quantum level.
Yeah.
The way they showed
Kubrick, very Kubrick.
They showed a lot of stuff that like a lot of imagery that was, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was from imagery from electron microscopes.
Oh, okay.
That's what, like, some of the imagery that they were showing was like kind of revamped and colored imagery from electron microscopes.
Yeah.
All kind of whirling in it.
So going through like a prism almost.
Right. And then what was interesting was they showed all the crystalline structure, but then it just got a little weird. They're trying to show like weird dimensionality. What they probably should have done there was just try like just vibrating rings of force, because that's what it's supposed to be at that level. But it was an interesting concept, much better than what was that movie where they go into the fourth dimension? What was that? It was a very recent movie. It was behind a bookcase. He's looking behind a bookcase.
Interstellar?
A way better rendition of the fourth dimension.
Oh, you didn't like that?
I think
that
that
was
what they're trying to do, if they did find it, see like an image of somebody else, is either Dormammu for Doctor Strange, or Annihilus, and that super microscopic world is the I forget, negative zone that Pym creates, where you know he takes prisoners. And he has like a prison where he actually takes like supervillains and whatnot. So yeah. So I don't know.
Which is pretty much where Yellow Jacket's probably tapped into, right? Yeah. I think a real important thing to touch on, and the long running, as good as the Marvel movies have been, the one downfall has always kind of been the villains, right? The villains have been kind of weak, right? Loki was great. I really liked Ultron. I thought it wasn't
a Joker for Ultron, but it was menacing in a way.
I was expecting to be more menacing, but that's kind of, we did get more of the comedic kind of sarcastic side. Yeah. But everything else, Obadiah Stane, whatever. Red Skull was good, right? But they were always just Darren Cross, Yellow Jacket. I think has to be, at least for me, just the weakest. Absolutely, just every villain trope that he gets, he just walks right through it. He was. They even have him killing lambs. He was right. He's killing lambs.
Watered down Ironmonger.
Yeah. Watered down Ironmonger. And they tried to give the backstory of him being, like a Hank Pym protege, and that he was kind of. And then he had some pseudo relationship with Hope Van Dyne, and she kind of turns on him. And then they try to use the trope of the Pym particles, kind of making him go mad and crazy. Even though, did he ever actually use them?
It's so vague though.
It's very vague. Right? Like I saw him trying to shrink. He was turning people into goo.
Yeah. He just but it was very inexplicably. He just went later. I'm like, was that necessary? Like, what would that not call suspicion? And it just,
people disappear without no ramifications.
I don't know where he went.
I just saw him go to the bathroom. He came out.
Very strategic. And then all of a sudden now you have this great technology. You've cracked the Pym particle code to shrink and everything. And then now you're just Hydra and terrorists, come on in. The fuck?
It was very plot convenient.
Yeah.
It's like, I am now showing myself for you that I am evil.
Yeah,
exactly.
I will kill these lambs. Only an evil villain would kill the lambs.
But I thought we used rats, but I am evil.
Exactly. And the same people stole Shmi Skywalker, and it turned bad. You know what I mean? Like that's Like, come on. Like,
it was not a lot of thought put into it. And really rushed.
Yeah, and it's not like he's a bad actor, because in The Strain, he's the doctor in The Strain. He does a good job there.
Or in House of Cards, wasn't he?
Yeah, first season of House of Cards.
He was great in the first season of House of Cards.
He was a terrible Yellow Jacket.
Yeah,
terrible. I just think that just as a villain, he just didn't do it. He just didn't.
No.
Maybe he was. He's also set up for failure pretty much as well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was not very convincing.
Yeah. If the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies and Phase 2 is like a series, this is just one of those filler episodes just to help get you to
I think
the second part. Because this movie exists so that, like you said, we can see Giant Man fighting in the Infinity War.
Yeah. Which is why he shouldn't have been a movie. Ant-Man should have just been a flashback in Avengers.
Yeah,
a flashback of all this, just like those old shots of Hank Pym.
Exactly.
That's all we needed, some flashback, and then we understand him enough that he can then become Giant Man.
Exactly.
But why don't we? So, what are some things that are just some things? Maybe we list some things that you just found infuriating or ridiculous. Instead of just for you personally, each of us.
Okay.
For the movie.
For me, the one thing, and again, so many movies are culprits of this, but they can learn martial arts and how to fight in 20 minutes. I'm sorry, I've been a blue belt for 4 years. It's not that easy. Yeah. These people just automatically learn how to fight. They learn you see things like Batman Begins, he goes off and he learns how to fight. He's gone for years. And even then, 8 years or whatever the time he's gone isn't enough for him to learn all that, but it's still, it's at least, it's a step in the right direction. Where is he learning how to fight and to punch? And he is, he's 140 pounds. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in that little time.
Pulls off a leaping leg lock harakarana.
Exactly. Doesn't he pull off some weird shit with Falcon?
Harakarana, leaps up to his face as a harakarana.
It's that stuff, you can't learn that in a half an hour. Because then that's where you get people coming into your martial arts dojo the next day and going, taking their 3 free classes and then going and getting a fight on the weekend at the bar.
And then because they fight UFC.
As they fight UFC. Exactly. And it happens all the time because these people really think that 3 hours of martial arts training will make them lethal. It's not going to happen, people. It's not going to happen. So just think that there's a little more time involved.
Back to, and this movie really does resemble Iron Man 1 to me, a lot, right? It's almost a scratch out names here and put in different character names. But at least in Iron Man 1, they had that montage of Tony Stark perfecting the tech, but it felt more drawn out, right? It felt more kind of legitimate, slowly, and even kind of
drawn out. It felt good. It wasn't the drawn out negative. I think it's more.
Right, drawn out's the wrong word.
Yeah,
it's realistically paced.
Yeah, exactly.
The wrong thing.
This one is again another plot convenience.
Yeah, there you go.
So what were your negatives for this movie?
Go to me last.
Yeah, last. Okay, Simonetto.
The keychain. This keychain is gonna be a damn tank. It's a real tank. Yeah. But if we're going by
immediately, that's a fucking real tank. He's gonna use that. Yeah.
But okay, I don't get Ant-Man's power. So if he can use the force of if he's 160 something pounds, if it's a tank, is it gonna be the same weight, or is it gonna be?
Oh, you mean when it's a keychain?
Yeah.
It would be. Well, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
If the density of it creates a greater power, it would imply that like a neutron star, its density would be great. So you'd be like, this is an impossible to lift keychain.
That's actually if the molecules in are just being
space. That's what I'm saying. It would be like a neutron star, a collapsed star, right?
It's a good point.
That is a great observation. You would not be able to. No, you could destroy it. It would be Thor's hammer. You'd be like,
exactly.
Mr. Pym, you're trying to sneak something in here.
You are not the king. You are not the king. It's not gonna happen.
We're gonna get so many.
No, that's not how it works. Exactly.
Mom, more Ovaltine, please. This is ridiculous. And
we welcome all comments and shares. As long as you interact. Okay, I got one.
Oh, I thought you were going to go last.
Oh, who's next? You?
No, I've said
sorry, I'll go last.
Okay, so for me, as I described, the ants flying around and being able to do all these things, that is, okay, so in so many different instances, the ants are doing things that ants can't. Even if they were that collectively organized, they're just doing things that physically ants can't. Like helicopters make people shudder under their ferocity. You have to duck and you have to hold your hat and whatever. There's no way a legion of ants, which only have wings when they're initially mating, by the way, and they all lose their wings after that. But anyways, so they're flying up. They would have been scattered. Going through areas of electricity, like they're susceptible to electric current. They lose their function. Their antennae stop working. Their sensitivity, all that kind of thing. Here's another thing. They did a very marginal job of explaining why it is he can communicate with ants, specifically ants, and not like, is he Aquaman too? Can he communicate with whales and fish? And what is it about ants exactly? Number one. Number two, no matter if he can, even if he can connect to an ant, he is a human being with a human mind. He does not have a collective intelligence. He cannot communicate with a million ants at the same time.
Yeah.
He can't do it. He just doesn't have the mental. He's a human being, as far as I can tell. His changes in size do not create any kind of neural networks that were
enhanced.
He cannot communicate with. He can communicate if he's going to be able to communicate with ants with a modified hearing aid. Maybe with 1, 2, perhaps. Maybe 3. Not a million. Yeah. Can't do it. They're not all following his instructions. So it was just a little.
Or they would move exactly in conjunction with each other. If you did, right, they wouldn't be able to independently move.
Right, but how do you even connect with all of them at the same time with your brain? It's like, how do I talk to you and to Sims and to Dan at the same time with different voices? I'm a human being. I can only process with certain thoughts at a time, right? So that would have been mine. That would have been like obviously it's a work of fiction, people. I understand this. We all understand this. But fiction has rules too.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, fiction has rules that it creates for itself. What it sets up for itself.
And especially, in Phase 2 was such a really good job of Marvel laying down a certain type of believability. You only had to suspend disbelief for only so much. They didn't take kind of little cheats. Yeah. And here there was a lot of cheats kind of taken here and there. Yeah. All right, so mine is like that overused trope of the hero to be having the most ideal combination of skills for the job. Which you could say, okay, he has the skills that Hank Pym wants, so he's. But come on, all the parkour, like he's a parkour master. A masterful cat burglar and
MacGyver,
electrical engineer.
Apparently MacGyver too.
Right? All three. Like, well, that's
He found random household items in a home that was not his, and put together a liquid nitrogen bomb, some kind of device to destroy the inner safe. It was on YouTube.
Great, like you're.
I'll open this drawer because I know the tape's in here. I'll open this drawer because I know a random ring is going to be in there. I'll open this drawer and this drawer and this drawer, and I might as well just build a spacecraft to just fly and shoot away.
It's a bit of a stretch. Like I can understand an athletic cat burglar. Right? Okay, that's good. You got to make him like. Where did being an electrical engineer help him? Right when he was tinkering with the fucking suit to help it go giant and change the regulator. Yeah, like that wasn't that important because it was just like didn't he just put the disc in?
Yeah, it was no big. It was like Hank Pym's like I don't know what to do. Yeah. I mean I created the suit and everything, but I could not for the life of me figure out how to get back from the quantum realm.
You realize that, Hank? You realize you gave me these discs that'll turn things giant when I throw them. This might fucking work. You didn't have to be an electrical engineer for that. But you just see that. You know the movies that always happens with is Mark Wahlberg, right? Yeah. It's okay, Prime. I'm an inventor. I'm an inventor. Or in The Happening, the Shyamalan movie.
I don't watch those Shyamalan.
Science, guys. Science. Give it a chance. Fucking scientist. So.
And my Shyamalan movies are like this. Oh my God, it's amazing. Where's it going? What? The monster is a mentally handicapped person hiding in a hole.
Spoilers for every Shyamalan movie.
This village is isolated in a park in Idaho? What? Exactly. I thought they were remotely Idaho.
What a twist!
What? They're dying because Earth is angry?
Well, what? This movie has very little Will Smith and more of fucking Jaden Smith? Oh, man. What's a twist? My recap on Ant-Man is, look, it's stuff you've kind of seen before. some different kind of elements. Somewhere in there, and originally Edgar Wright. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Edgar Wright's kind of stuff. He's done like Shaun of the Dead. He's done all those like the Cornetto trilogy with Simon Pegg, like At World's End. All those. Scott Pilgrim Saves the World.
Yeah.
Real quirky British humor. Loves comics. He had been working on Ant-Man like well before. I think like since 2005, where he first came with a pitch.
Yeah.
They want to do this, and Marvel Studios set up, and they were always kind of had in development. And by the time they found, and it was always kind of hanging around. He had gone to Comic-Con like 4 years in a row, like just saying, "Ant-Man's coming. Here's some test footage, things like that." And then finally, once he got time to finally do it, there was a split because he had his story that he wanted to tell, but now it has to fit into this whole big long Marvel Cinematic Universe, and so things he had to change. It just wasn't going to work. They had to split. Yeah. You can really kind of see the kind of quirky superhero comedy action movie that he was making, and like the suitcase has to be one, right? And then you can kind of see where Marvel kind of put, well, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen, right? So it's really kind of too bad, but we'll never know.
Out of the movie, cool. Bigwigs, stay out.
At that point, it's kind of tough, right? Because it does have to fill an episodic section of a much longer story because he has to be there. Anyway, to kind of wrap it all up, it's a good movie. Some original kind of looking effects, some fun action scenes, some fun comedy. It by no means is bad. It's kind of just what if you've seen enough superhero movies and things like that, you'll see it coming.
Yeah.
It is enjoyable, but you're just kind of watching.
If you're 9, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're watching it to get through it, and then hope for some big, cool action scenes of him and thing. That's kind of my end thought of it.
Yeah. Yeah, my idea was, if you're a parent and you want to take your kids to it, like Sean was saying earlier, it's better than like something else out there maybe, but I was thoroughly just underwhelmed.
Yeah,
it's like breakfast. It's like you could have a big full breakfast with eggs and bacon and all types of toast and everything. You have a Pop-Tart. It's a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
On that Pop-Tart note. Alright guys, thanks for joining us. Episode 1 of Hero Lair. I know the audio is not the best, but we'll improve it. I swear, we're just rank amateurs who want to kind of hang out and talk and do this for you. Like this video, please leave any comments below. Share it. You can follow us on Twitter at the Hero Lair. My name's Dan Philippe. You can follow me at DanPhilippeDF. Beside me, Big Sean Sims.
I'm Sean Sims. You can follow me at Big Sims on Twitter at Big_Sims and Instagram Simplicity1 with 2 M's.
My name's Josh Martyr. My website for authorship is joshuamartyr.com.
Mario Amaral. You can follow me at Mario Hammerall, HAMMERALL, and Twitter.
Awesome, guys. So we'll come back with you next week. Some more news, insight, and review of Fantastic Four. See ya.
Later.